All right. Welcome, everybody, to the combined Denver and Boulder Java User Group meeting. Just a reminder, we're always looking for DJug speakers. Please email Matt Rabel or myself, or send a message through the Meetup site if you're interested in speaking or if there's a topic you'd like to see. Just our housekeeping announcement, if you need the restroom, hopefully you can find one wherever you're watching this. As far as our sponsors go, I want to thank Tech Systems. They sponsor food, and we appreciate their support. Obviously, we're virtual still, so tonight's dinner is sponsored by whatever's in your pantry or your fridge. Courtney Elterman is our contact at Tech Systems. If you have hiring needs, please reach out to our sponsors because they help fund stuff that we give you for the Jug. Another sponsor is JFrog. They've been doing some awesome giveaways. Usually they have a QR code that you can scan or use a bit.ly link in the chat. And Mike, who's both running the show and doing the door prizes tonight, will help us with that if they're doing a giveaway this month. Another sponsor is Apex Systems. They're our beer sponsor usually. Again, tonight's liquid refreshments or whatever's in your fridge. Braden Collip is our contact there. And again, if you're looking for stuff for staffing needs, please reach out to them. Another sponsor is Develop Intelligence. They give away Pluralsight training, which is really amazing if you haven't seen it. Ace Van Wansiel is one of our contacts, as well as Bob Clary. They're currently looking to hire technical instructors who specialize in several technologies for contract opportunities. Those technologies include Java, Golang, JavaScript, React, DevOps tools like Kubernetes and Docker, and many others. If you are looking, reach out to them. Also, if you're looking for training, please reach out to our sponsor, Develop Intelligence, to support them. Another sponsor is Amazon. Chris Almond and Sam Ayer are our contacts. They're hiring in all sorts of spaces, so please reach out to them if you're interested. All sorts of, it's full stack, and you can see the opportunities on the slide deck that Mike is sharing. Okta is another sponsor. They sponsor the Meetup site and all of the stuff for the online meeting, the technologies around that. So if you're looking for OAuth stuff, and they have some other things as well, please reach out to them. They're really great, and we appreciate their sponsorship. Another sponsor is NextGen. Dana Esland is our contact there. They're a consulting company specializing in federal government contracts. You can reach them at nextgeninc.com. So if you have a need in that space, please reach out to them. Another sponsor is agilelearner.com. That's Venkat's Romanian. And love them. They're awesome. And they got a great website. They're going to probably do a conference again this year. Or for the first time this year, it was canceled due to COVID. And I think they're trying to reschedule that. Another sponsor is Jetbrains. And we always appreciate them giving away a couple of IDEs. So if you want to IntelliJ, you can be a winner. We give those away every month. There's a link for door prizes. I don't know if Mike has put that in the chat, but be sure and hit that up to be eligible for any of the giveaways that we're doing. As always, I'd like to thank the DJug board that makes these happen. All I do is get up and talk a little bit, or sit down and talk, I guess, since COVID. And but everybody else does everything to make these happen. And so that's Matt Rabel, who gets our speakers, locations, usually does the broadcast, always gets the speakers for us, like tonight's speaker. Mike Zuedo, who is actually running the broadcast tonight, also does the door prizes. And like I said, he's running the broadcast tonight. We appreciate that. And Zeddy Chinfong, who does all sorts of operational stuff, including our social media announcements and other things along those lines. So in addition to the DJug, this is a joint meeting with the Boulder Java Users Group. And with that, I'd like to bring up Chris Wojna from the Boulder Java Users Group, who would like to thank the Boulder Java User Group sponsors as well.
Hey, thanks everybody. Thanks, Greg. So just like Denver, we are sponsored by Tech Systems. James Corboy is our recruiter. They're America's foremost technical recruiter. If you have any questions about the job market, if you're hiring, if you're just wondering what's what, if you're looking, give them a call. They're happy to check in with you and let you know what the market's like, and in particular, the Boulder, Denver area. Normally, we have our meetings at Rule for Cybersecurity and Emerging Technologies. They were last year's Colorado Technology Association Award winner. It's a really, really great place for both cybersecurity and technologies. Like Denver, No Fluff, Just Stuff, and Jay Zimmerman, world-class conferences and training. Agile Developer, Venkat Subramaniam. We have probably one or more giveaway licenses to their video training. If you're interested in that, just contact me through the Boulder Java Users Group website, and I'll see if I can get that to you. Also, Jetbrains, IntelliJ IDE, it's the foremost Java IDE. Again, I may have one or two licenses. If you're interested in that, contact me through the Boulder Java Users Group website, and I'll get that to you. And finally, big thanks to O'Reilly Books. Back to you, Greg.
Thank you, Chris. So tonight's presentation, I'm really looking forward to this. It's Sharat Chander on moving Java forward together. So the last 25 years have shown that Java has enriched the world we live in. Applications of all shapes and all sizes target a wide and diverse set of use cases. The foundation is strong, but how will the next 25 years and beyond look like? That future is influenced so much by you, the developer community. And this session will focus on what you can do to participate to ensure the future remains bright. You're going to learn about the many channels that you can use to move Java forward. And a little bit about Sharat. He's the Senior Director, Java Developer Advocacy, and has been driving the Java ecosystem forward for over 20 years. His focus is to help raise the value of the Java community, which helps keep the technology relevant for now and the future, as well as grow the visibility of Java to drive its adoption worldwide. You can find Sharat on Twitter at SHARAT_CHANDER. So with that, let's go ahead and bring up Sharat, and thank you so much for coming to do this today.
Hi, Greg. Thank you so much. I appreciate that warm welcome. I wasn't expecting anyone to read my bio. I actually don't find it all that interesting, to be completely honest, but that's very gracious of you. And I'd also like to say thank you to Matt Rabel, who reached out to me to come and be part of this this online experience jointly done between both the Denver and Boulder Java user groups. It's been quite a bit of time since my last visit to talk about Java to either group. I think actually going back to my Sundays, and I know I'm probably dating myself now. You probably see the gray hair here. But just again, a little bit about my background. I'm actually came from Sun Microsystems, joined Oracle in 2010. When I first joined Sun, it was actually in the tooling space. So I was actually working on some of the tooling parts, the JavaSoft org, NetBeans. Some of you might remember Forte. So Forte for Java was one of the IDEs I was working on. And at that time, we were working with handset manufacturers to ensure there were the appropriate emulators to do application development testing on various handsets to ensure that you got the right form factors and rendering of your application, and that was quite the experience. And since then, back in December of 2000 when I joined, I've held various responsibilities from tooling to development to product management to partner programs to running Java 1, if anyone remembers that. And I don't expect everyone to know who I am because this isn't about me. I've always approached my role as this is about you. And that's been really my focus the last 10 years, is ensuring what we do here in the Java organization gives you value, gives you opportunity, future-proofs your career, but allows you to have this sense of participation. And that's sort of been the backbone of what Java has been for so long. Even before I started using this was this notion of community and participation, and we've been trying to ensure that that backbone remains strong. And so, today I thought it'd be interesting to give all of you some context on what you should really feel proud about. Whether you've been using Java for a year, 5 years, or 25 years, as some of us have been doing, there's a sense of pride in what we've been doing. This is a shared responsibility for sure. Oracle and the Java team puts in, as expected, the lion's share of the engineering, the investment, and the resourcing. But we want to make this as embracive as possible, give you opportunities to participate, offer you channels of information to, like I said, ensure your career stays solid. Many of you have actually, bet your career on Java, and it's important that we continue to deliver as much as we can from a content perspective that you can leverage. And for sure, it'd be easy to say, well, why isn't there just one place where I can go? And there are locations like that, but there's a myriad of channels. We all have different modalities in terms of how we like to absorb information, utilize information, or for that matter, participate. Because participation can mean many things. It can mean passively reading and sharing that knowledge with someone else or with yourself. It could actually mean something on the other spectrum where you're actually getting involved in helping shape and frame the future of Java. And so, tonight I'm going to try and cover as much of that as I possibly can. I want to keep this as interactive as possible. I don't see many of you, or actually I don't see any of you right now physically. And, if you have questions, please, by all means, raise them. I'll try to get to as many as I can. But, if we can't connect today, if I can't get to your question today, or for that matter, you want to just stay connected in the future, opening slide has my Twitter handle. You're welcome to follow me. Drop me a message. I try to be as responsive as I possibly can. I do get hundreds of DMs every day. That's not because I'm popular. It's just because there's a lot of questions out there, and I don't want any question to go unresponded to. I try to get back as best I can and as timely as I can. So please feel free to drop me a DM if you have questions or just comments, because again, your feedback is important, and we'll try to make this as improved upon as we possibly can. And so, with that, let me just start off with a couple of things. If you're using Java, I definitely want to hear from you. If your enterprise or your business is also using Java, we want to hear from you. I want to take all your feedback as possible. I have a couple of QR codes there. If you're using Oracle OpenJDK, our free version, for sure, share us your comments, how it's been benefiting you. If you're using Oracle JDK and our commercial offering, another QR code there as well. Give us your feedback. And yes, I read and not just me, but every part and coworker of mine on the Developer Advocacy, and product management team. We read every single comment that comes through, not just through the feedback mechanisms on this slide, but we try to be as engaging and listen, go to all the watering holes as best we can to see what the commentary and feedback and perception is out there on Java. So we encourage it. So, when we look to the next 25 years and beyond, we also have to understand kind of what the dynamics are. Where Java was back in the mid-90s compared to where we are today. The landscape in front of us continues to evolve because technology isn't stagnant. Communities are not stagnant. There's always new opportunities, new programming models, new hardware architectures. We all have to sort of be mindful of that. And I oftentimes get asked, so, why are you not moving faster? And when we move, fast, we also get the equivalent question, why aren't you being a bit more thoughtful? And it's an interesting, place to be in the center, in that we have tens of millions of users, hundreds of thousands of companies that are invested in this, all who have made big bets and long-term investments in terms of how they utilize Java. And we have to be very thoughtful of that investment. And yet we also know that there's this continuum of evolution that's happening in front of us at an ever increasing pace. So how can we take in new ideas, new concepts, and address the modern application development framework that's in front of us. And it's an interesting space to be in because oftentimes we're appreciated by both sides of that spectrum, but sometimes we're also the most hated group or individual as well. It's like either you're moving too fast or moving too slow. And what we try to do is ensure we're thoughtful. There's that not old anymore, but oftentimes used move fast and break things. That has been, I think, championed in many watering holes. And what we try to do is move thoughtfully and build things because we don't want you as a user to experience anything where it's going to be detrimental to something you've already done. Backwards compatibility has always been one of those mission critical pillars for us. And we want to ensure the investments you made have value in the future, but at the same time, be thoughtful in terms of that evolution. And, sometimes you might hear, well, why isn't Java doing this specific industry better? Whether it's machine learning or AI, it's like, we're not trying to just solve one problem. We're trying to be as horizontal as possible to bring value to as many application use cases as best we can. And so there is a bit of opportunity here in that, you might have heard Brian Getz use this term, last leader advantage. We'd like to see what is working. Is it going to be something that has viability for the long term? We don't want just something to be niche that we introduce, because every time we introduce something into the platform and standardize it, that then has to be maintained for a really, really, really long time. So there is a great degree of thoughtful innovation that we bring into our development process. And we do this, relying on three pillars in terms of trust, innovation, and predictability. One of the things that I actually had fear on when I first joined Oracle, at least in 2010, was would we continue with the same level of transparency in terms of our development that we had started at Sun? And if anything, we've become even more transparent than ever before. And I'm going to go into some of that transparency. Are we continue to be innovative? And I think, there has never been a more enriching time for Java than we are today. And that's saying something because, there was a time like, well, we were so innovative at Sun with what we're doing. But in many cases, there wasn't necessarily the best decision making as far as how to deliver that. And I think we've come to a point where, with our thoughtfulness, ensuring that quality remains, of the highest degree, the portfolio of innovation in Java has never been higher. And then lastly, that was something that was missing, but has been there now for a good 10 years, has been predictability, is ensuring that we deliver continuously in a way that you as developers can ensure that you're getting that innovation in a way that takes some of the guessing out of when will it be delivered. Dare I say there was a period where, there was a lag in terms of getting innovation in your hands. And since Java 9, I think the ability for us to deliver innovation to you in a predictable fashion is something that has been championed by many over the last several years. So, with that, I wanted to kind of hearken upon the 20, what I believe are 25 reasons that Java is going to remain bright. Part of this is what we're doing here at Oracle through the Java team. Part of this is your participation. And, we just celebrated 25 years of Java just a couple of years ago. I can't believe we even hit that milestone. But, the next 25 years and beyond looks very bright. And let's just get into that. First is in terms of ensuring our virtues continue today. What you see here are some of the virtues that were there even before I started working on Java. And those virtues continue today and are sort of our North Stars as far as how we do our development. We want to ensure that there continues to be improved ease of use with every new release. We want to ensure that there is continued reliability that offers performance gains with every new release that we do. And if you've noticed over the years, the security quality of Java has just been gone through the roof, and that's saying something. We live in a world where there's always new target vectors, and here in the Java land, kind of what we do from a development standpoint, we're trying to ensure that security remains of the highest level as possibly as we can. And of course, we live in an environment where there's always new architectures to target, and so we want to ensure that platform independence is first and foremost there, because that write once, run anywhere promise is still important today as it was 25 years ago. So ensuring that these virtues stay true are going to continue to drive Java forward for the next 25 years. Where does all this happen? I sometimes get asked, so where's the magic? And I always feel as though it's an odd way to frame it, because there is no hidden trick. There's nothing up our sleeves, because everything is done through the OpenJDK project. Here and on our development side, we do everything transparently, as open as possible, so you as developers can actually understand and see what is happening in real time. And so this is the place where all of the collaboration happens. This is the place where Oracle does its development. This is the place where all of the projects that make OpenJDK and Java possible is done. And whether we do it or as we attract other participants, this is the place to go and experience that innovation. And oops, sorry, just wanted to fast forward a little bit too fast over there. The other part is the transparency level. There is nothing that we do that is sort of hidden, in that all of our development is done in the open, and you as developers have a chance to actually see that in real time, in terms of the code check-ins, in terms of the conversations and the decision-making. All of the various sub-projects that make up OpenJDK have active mailing lists. And I always encourage developers to go and find the projects that interest them the most, so they can actually understand what is happening. So there is less probability of having perceptions that's based on perhaps false information or speculation. Nary a day doesn't go by where we go to a watering hole out there, whether it's on Stack Overflow or Reddit or some of the other various places where there seems to be quite a bit of sometimes misinformation, and we try to course correct it as best we can. One of the best watering holes for you to go to in terms of that authentic information is the OpenJDK mail list. So if there is something that interests you within the OpenJDK project, I would encourage you to go find the mailing list, subscribe to it, digest to it as you'd like, to follow the conversation, because it just makes you much more empowered. There's a analyst house called RedMonk, and one of their analysts, Stephen O'Grady, has a great book called The Kingmakers, and he refers to developers as kingmakers. I call them rainmakers. All of you have so much influence in terms of the technology decision making your company is dealing with, and the way you become more empowered is by keeping your eyes and ears open, not just using the technology. So definitely utilize the mail list to your advantage. We also improved and not just launched, but a couple of years ago, created a developer's guide around the entirety of the OpenJDK project, because, how do you participate? What are the sort of like the methodologies? What are the tools and the standards and the process behind this? If you want to become active, it's good to have some sort of a charter, a guiding principle that allows you to understand how to participate. And so these are one of the resources. If you just go to our guide, it gives you sort of that knowledge in terms of what are the things that I can do to be a bit more active in terms of influencing the direction of Java. So I would encourage for you to take a look at that. And part of that is also participation. I mean, there's various levels of participation that you yourself can do. I think one of the ones that's the easiest is download Java, start using it. That makes you an active participant, in my opinion. But if you want to take a bit of a more hands-on approach, we have various levels within the OpenJDK project for you to actually contribute your time, your thoughts, your ideas. And it's really about, how much time you want to invest in this. For sure, if your interest is purely to be a user, I understand that. We all have, responsibilities and other things that may interest us, but, some of us want to be a bit more active in terms of helping shape that future. And so there's various levels of participation for you to take part in the OpenJDK project. Something that sometimes gets overlooked is just the sheer amount of tools. It's not just about the language and platform. And in OpenJDK itself, there's a rich collection of tools just to increase your productivity. A few of them are listed here. There's several more that have been launched since Java 9. Some of you might know JPackage and other tools as such. Or Jetbrains, for example. And, I always say tools make you productive because it takes away some of what you sometimes have to do by hand. And so we have a long laundry list of tools to accelerate your productivity. I prefer to talk about Jetbrains, and that may not sound interesting to everyone, but coming from a bit of a perspective of agro in my family, the whole notion of pruning a tree is fascinating to me. And that if you want a tree to be robust and viable, of course you got to water the roots, but there's also thoughtful pruning involved. When something gets outdated or no longer is offering the tree strength, it's important to prune that back. And Jetbrains is actually a good tool because it allows you to understand what is going to be removed in the future so you can start preparing for this. And so we want to take some of that guessing out of the equation for you and not have it be a shock on the system. Just like you don't cut a branch on a tree, which can hurt the tree, you want to do it in a thoughtful way. And Jetbrains to me is one of those fascinating tools to help you out. Feedback is also important. One of the things that's been very interesting to see since Java 9 is this notion of us to be able to introduce a various collection of features to get your feedback. Things that are mechanisms to be able to understand what is in the pipeline. Preview features are something that we consider complete, but we just need a little bit of more end user feedback from a real world production standpoint from you. Incubator modules allows you to understand the inclusion of what's coming in terms of new APIs and tools that might one day make it into a final release of Java. And of course, there's also experimental features. These are all ways for you to tell us, are we doing the right things? And as much as we think we're doing the right things, your feedback allows us to sort of do that refinement. And, in every release, you may see some of these show up, whether it's, something that's LTS or non-LTS. You may see some of these types of features that are presented. And one of the things is we don't want to do harm. And so, there are flags that are set. So these aren't turned on. You actually have to enable them. So you can start playing with them. So again, we don't want to do any harm to anything that's done in production. Innovation, God, where do I even start with the hundreds of projects that are happening at OpenJDK? Some of the most interesting ones I think we oftentimes hear about are listed here. But what we're trying to do at OpenJDK isn't just solve one problem or one opportunity, but in totality, look at the various places where we see innovation and modern application development moving. And through these larger projects, we then get to deliver to you a series of features that map back to one of these parent projects. I mean, for example, and this gets talked about a lot, is Amber. Amber is this whole notion of simplifying Java so it's much more approachable, more readable, more writable, more maintainable, making it, reducing the verbosity of the language so it just becomes more user-friendly for you. But that's not just one thing. I mean, since Java 9 and we look at, up to Java 17 today, there's been a collection of new features that map back to Amber. And in this collection, you can just see within each of these projects, various features that we've been delivering over the years. And the way we actually do this, and I think this is interesting, is the advantage of our 6-month release cadence. This still needs to be talked about a lot. Even though we came out with the 6-month release cadence back in 2017, it's oftentimes forgotten just how valuable this is, because there's been a misconception, even today, several years removed, in that there's this expectation that the 6-month release cadence somehow is reflective of our previous release model. If you look at what we did between Java 8 and Java 9, that was a 3-year, a little more than 3 years between releases, with in some cases, almost 100 new features being released in each new release. And that's quite disruptive, because when you have a quiet period of 3+ years before the next release comes out, and then all of a sudden you have to deal with hundreds of new features, it sometimes can be a shock on not just you, but your enterprise, your company. Which of these features should I use? How should they be? How should they be utilized? In what sort of use cases should they be adopted and embraced? And that can sometimes, as we've learned, be extremely disruptive, even for ourselves, because we ourselves are consumers of the very technology that we're creating and building. And so what the 6-month release cadence has offered, not just us, but you, is incremental innovation. This isn't about throughput. This is about reducing latency and being able to give you a steady stream of innovation as they are completed, once they are finalized. And sometimes I get asked, so when is feature X going to make it into a specific release? Well, there's no promise anymore when something will be done. When it's done, it gets targeted. And if we miss this train, the next train is only 6 months away. You don't have to wait 3 years or 3+ years before that innovation is delivered to you. And so there's less friction in terms of not just embracing the release, but getting that incremental innovation in your hands much faster, because we know the pace of innovation is happening at such an increased fashion. It just does not make sense for us to pause innovation just because we want to tie a specific release to a specific feature to a specific release. We know how all that goes. Once you make that commitment, engineering, issues may arise, and then you have a delayed release cycle. And what that then does is holds up the entire release train, and then you don't get other features that are done. And it's entirely disruptive. And so, the 6-month cadence, as you can see here, allows us the ability to just give you that incremental innovation on a 6-month release clip. And let's do the math here. Like, if you take up the totality of all the new features between 10 and 17, it starts looking like the volume of features that we would have had when you had that 3-year gap. And so it's quite interesting to see what's transpired. Great opportunity for you in terms of participation is actually utilizing our early access builds. And oftentimes I'll hear developers say, well, I don't have time to participate actively in OpenJDK, and I don't have the opportunity to comment on the mail lists, but what can I do to stay active? And I always say, download an early access build. It's one of the greatest ways for you to understand what's in the pipeline. How does that work in your environment? And it just prepares you for when we reach GA state. And so if you're wondering how you can get access to it, just go to jdk.java.net. You can already get early access builds for Java 18, which is, if you do the math, shipping in March of 2022. We just got done with Java 17 here in September of this calendar year. And if you do the math, when is Java 19 coming out? September of 2022, which means as soon as 18 ships, probably even before it ships, you'll already have early access builds for Java 19. So one of the best ways to participate is actually through utilizing early access builds. Modern hardware, again, this is entirely important because we want to make sure as hardware architectures evolve, we want to ensure that we're taking account for it from a development standpoint. And you can kind of see through here with Java 17 our targeted platforms that we currently support. Moving on. I absolutely love showing this slide because it just shows you the robustness of our community. One of the hardest things for us to do is sometimes do things by hand. You come up with an idea. It's like, okay, what tool or framework or library do I necessarily need to utilize? And should I even do it myself? And oftentimes there's already someone who's done that. I mean, that's the collective power of 25 years of innovation is most likely you'll already be able to find something that you can utilize that someone has created and has continued to evolve over the years. And this is just a short snapshot of what some of those tools and frameworks and libraries are. And there's even a larger collection out there than what's listed here. And this is possible because, over the years we've introduced, and this is one of those hidden gems of the OpenJDK project, is our quality outreach program. What we try to do is ensure, the vendors and creators of tools, libraries, and frameworks have the ability to ensure that they're continuing to modernize what they've created to keep up with the release cadence. And so through our quality outreach program, this allows many of you who may actually have ownership for some of these projects to ensure that they can be utilized with newer releases of Java. So thank you for if you are a maintainer of creator and maintainer of some of these, thank you, because many of us on this call, including myself, use some of the things here. Infrastructure is important. Some might overlook this, but for me, it was kind of a testament to just how modern we've become. Infrastructure matters. You can now you're able to get Java through GitHub. We're now hosting on Git. Moving from Mercurial to Git and then putting that through GitHub has been, to me, one of those aha moments. It just simplifies some of your development. You can automate some of your build pipelines. And for everyone that participated in Project Scara, gave us feedback, my collective thanks to you. This is one of those things where this has just been a revelation for so many of us. Participation, again, even though there's so much investments it should be coming from Oracle, we do appreciate all the individuals and other vendors that are also offering support. It oftentimes is forgotten just how many hands there are involved in helping us shape the future. And it's important that we reflect that there are many hands helping to shape that future. And I'm always thankful for the companies and the individuals that are part of this. With every new release, we highlight all of the companies and individuals who have helped us get a release out the door. And it's important we give that recognition because, yes, we do a lot of the majority of the innovation and the engineering and the delivery. But the door is open for participation, and we want to ensure that all of those individuals, all of those vendors are recognized in terms of what they are doing. So thank you. I'm going to move a little bit about in terms of some of the channels that oftentimes gets forgotten, and it's easy to. I mean, the reality is there one perfect stream to stay abreast and understand the direction Java is going in? No, but there's a huge collection of channels, and I'm going to highlight several of them now. And at the kind of at the end of this, if you want a digest of all the things that I've covered, I'm happy to do that. But I'm also going to make the slide deck available as well, so it can be circulated through the both the leads of the Denver Jug and the Boulder Jug, so you can members have access to this deck. If you are on Twitter, and we found that Twitter seems to be a great mechanism for getting information out, and many of you have accounts on Twitter, is to follow Java, because we do a lot of what we call Halo updates, general updates in terms of directions that we're taking, some of the announcements on big releases, some of the events that we're doing. And then from a technical perspective, OpenJDK's Twitter presence is a bit more prescriptive in terms of the technical story, in terms of the direction we're going. And it's important that you have a place that offers a bit of uniqueness on Twitter, that offers you a bit more of the broader perspective, but more specifics in terms of the technical details. So both of these are handles that you should absolutely follow and be listening to when you have the time. And again, many of us here on the Java team, we're active in terms of not just posting on both of these channels, but we're also listening as well. And in many situations, responding. User groups, we wouldn't be here having this session without the Denver Jug and the Boulder Jug. I absolutely love the fact that we have active user groups. We've created a list on the Java Twitter handle. You can go and take a look at a list that we've created, which actually is reflective of all of the global Java user groups that have a presence on Twitter. We know right now that's roughly 300. I think it's now 318. I think the number is slightly off now by a few. Globally speaking, there's over 350 active Java user groups, and that's pretty important. Whether you realize this or not, I know we live in this world of COVID right now, and things are closed, and we're watching things online, and your local Java user group might be something that you're more connected with. When the world opens up, there are colleagues, friends, and families all over the world that are great individuals to connect with, to collaborate with, to share with in terms of our experiences, in terms of our use cases, in terms of our best practices, or more importantly, our questions. And there is not a corner of the globe where, should you visit it, there is someone over on another part of the globe that you can connect with and share ideas with. It's easy to do, online right now, but for sure, I hope you all have the opportunity to meet other colleagues and other facets of the community when the world opens up, because that's just a great learning mechanism. And sometimes we think our issues are only our issues, or our ideas are only our ideas. The reality is there's so much similarity in terms of where we see questions and ideas and challenges and opportunities. And your user group locally is a great starting point, but for sure, take a look at our list of other user groups, follow them on Twitter, go to their meetup pages, and experience some of the topics that they're also talking about, because that may actually be an opportunity for you to bring that speaker or idea back at the local level. Something new that we've launched, well, is it new now? Is something new if it's a little over a year old? I think it's new. But here on the developer advocacy team here at Oracle for Java, we launched inside.java, literally inside.java, using the Java top level domain. And this is a digest of all of the news and updates coming from our Java team for you to you can even RSS feed this, but we want to ensure you have yet another channel and pipeline of information coming from the people that are actually doing a lot of the labor and the hands-on work, so you can stay up to date in terms of what we're doing. An extension of Inside.Java is our podcast. So a lot of the voices and engineers, we do active interviews as well to sort of hear the spoken story. You can hear from folks like Brian Getz and Ron Pressler and Michael Vidstedt and some of the other Java engineers who you may know or may not know for you to get familiar with. And so yet another channel, again, different modalities for you to stay connected, which can just, again, enrich you and empower your knowledge on Java to just kind of help with that innovation. From a learning perspective, we launched something through Oracle University called the Oracle Explorer Program. And we know that part of the investment in ourselves is the Java certification. And to kind of prepare you for that, we have a free program built of several modules where, in preparation for the certification exam, you can actually earn this Explorer badge, which you can share on social, use on your LinkedIn profile, but just to help you stand out as you go look for your next opportunity. And so this Explorer program is a collection of Java learning modules that, upon completion, you can earn this badge, utilize it to differentiate yourselves. And then again, it is also good preparation for the actual certification program, which, by the way, is being refreshed for Java 17. So this has already been, this slide is a little bit outdated in that we're doing a bit of refresh already, and you should be able to go and get that refresh content in terms of certification on Java 17. Long last. So we've finally been taking a bit more of a serious approach to our YouTube channel on for Java. And this is coming from a lot of the feedback many of you have been giving us. This used to be a very strong channel, and I will be very transparent with that. And unfortunately, there were a couple of years where this languished a bit, and that is, that shame on us. But we have been improving the channel, improving the quality, ensuring there's good curated content and refreshed and updated content with new learning sessions that you can go and turn to, and it has been a breath of fresh air to see just the accolades that we are now getting. But I would be very interested to hear some of your ideas in terms of how we continue that improvement to ensure our presence on YouTube has strong content as possible. Some of you might also be thinking, okay, well, I have colleagues or friends or individuals who are not professional developers yet, might live in academia, who are students. What are you doing, Oracle, to help them out? And through Oracle Academy, we actually set up Java curriculum for universities, for colleges, for learning institutions to go ahead and grab to help ensure the next generation of developers has an understanding of the value of Java. And so there's an entire solutions catalog for learning institutions to take advantage of, or for that matter, individuals. So if you have people in high school or just starting college that want to look at some of the Java curriculum that's out there, I would encourage them to turn to Oracle Academy to take advantage of that. Going to pivot here a little bit in that this resource is something that's not coming from the Java team, but it's something that I personally appreciate and I'm very thankful of. If you don't know who Heinz Kabutz is, I hope you get to know him. If you do know him, then you won't be surprised why I have this here. So Heinz is probably, to me, one of a handful of one of the most trusted friends and family that I know in the Java ecosystem, who talks authentically, who is extremely experted and is willing to give his time to invest back in the community to ensure we all improve our Java skills. And I've found his Java specialist newsletters to be one of those special rare instances where someone in the community has done something unique that we can all benefit from. And if you're not a subscriber of Heinz's newsletter, I encourage you to do it. I'm a subscriber. It's something that I always look forward to hitting in my inbox. And if you ever get the chance to connect with him, consider yourself lucky, especially in the physical sense, seeing how he's based in Greece. I know we all can't go visit Greece. I'm still looking for the hope to actually visit him one day there. But if you see him at an event, he's one of the most approachable, friendly, and helpful individuals in the Java ecosystem. You're kind of lucky in Colorado in that you also have two of the most recognized faces in the Java community. Matt Rabel, who set this up, is one of those individuals. Again, one of the most authentic individuals that I've come across in the Java ecosystem. And you've also heard Venkat Subramaniam's name as well, another trusted individual. And there's so many more. It's so exciting. And a sense of pride that we have so many individuals who we can turn to for help and support in shaping and framing our careers and our opportunities. I'm going to close with two more items. The most recent new announcement we had was this past September when we launched Java 17. We also launched a new learning portal called dev.java. And this harkens back to some of the value that some of you might remember with some of the Java portals of the past, in that this really is the place that we are trying to make the one-stop shop for everything that I've covered and talked about, and then some, for you to discover information just in terms of the wide breadth and depth in terms of how to stay enriched on all things Java. And this is something that will continue to evolve and be updated. In fact, there's new learning tutorials that have been continually added to this by many of the advocates that are part of the team. We continue to grow out the community tab. We continue to grow out some of the other facets of dev.java. But this literally is something that many of you have been asking for is, well, you have so many channels. Can we have yet another one? But that helps consolidate everything else. And this has been our attempt to do that consolidation. It doesn't mean other channels are going to disappear, again, because all of you have preferences in terms of the modalities you enjoy and appreciate. But at least a one-stop shop of all of the Java knowledge that the Java team here at Oracle is doing is something that we're going to try and continue to put the spotlight on and grow out here at dev.java. And then last but not least, the most important part of all of this, the next 25 years, is, God, this seems so obvious, but you all have a role, an important role. It's something that I've come to appreciate over 25 years, just how important it is in terms of the power of community. Your importance is unspoken in so many ways and is immeasurable in so many ways. The feedback that you give, the commentary that you provide, the participation that you do, the active activities that are executed, such through things like the user group programs. It's just a testament of just how vibrant our ecosystem is. Because the reality is, in 5 years, maybe 10 years, maybe 15 years, I'm not sure. Some of us may no longer be here. We've passed the baton on. And I can't think of a better place to be, because there are hundreds of thousands of customers and users and tens of millions of developers. And we have such an inclusive ecosystem that real power is you. You give Java vibrancy. You give Java power. You give Java a place. It's your innovation with the technology that makes modern application development possible. And I just wish I could put the spotlight on all of you so much more than we already do. But to me, this is going to be the most important part of where the next 25 years goes. And it's Java plus you. It's just, that's as much as I can say. And the title of this slide says it all, which is you make Java possible. So my thanks to all of you. With that, maybe if we have some questions that have come up that may not have been addressed while I was speaking, I'm happy to take questions as best I can. I'm here for the next 20-ish minutes.
Hi, so we'll just give people a little bit of time to type in the chat if they want. I don't know if you saw the comments before, but one comment from Daniel saying, huge thank you for backwards compatibility.
Which by the way, Daniel, I appreciate your comment. It is, to me, backwards compatibility is one of the most non-negotiable parts of what we do as best we can. If we ever reach a point where backwards compatibility is broken, it is for a very good reason in terms of why it was done. But for me, it is like in the rarest of rare, that we want to ever do that. And I can't tell you how many times I've gone into a customer meeting where, before we even kick off the conversation, you'll get someone in the organization going, thank you for not introducing X, Y, or Z, because that would have broken what we've done. And the pace that you're doing it, we appreciate that. And, you're not doing everything that's, just going to turn the world on its head, because we don't want the world to turn on its head. We want to ensure our business, our organization can, move at the pace that we want it to. And I'm always appreciative of a comment like that. So thank you. And Vishnu, I appreciate your comment as well. There's a lot of resources. I went through, I tried to go through as many of the top level ones that I possibly could in this short intersection with you. For sure, I hope I get a chance to come and visit to share even more insight into that range of resources as well.
From all the resources that you just sort of sent out at the end, if you had to pick one, which one would you say is the best one for
what is the best
resource first?
Oh my goodness. So
your favorite, maybe not.
That's like saying who's your favorite child? Like, how do I pick my favorite child out of all the children I have? I can't pick my favorite, because every modality will have value to someone else in a different way. I personally find, on a personal level, dev.java the most helpful for me, because it allows us, even here on the Java team, to think about how do we aggregate all of those different modalities in a place where they're discoverable, and number two, continue to evolve and innovate. It doesn't mean I'll always go there, but it is sort of like if you use the sort of airline model, the hub and spoke of what we do. And we're trying to make dev.java that hub.
Okay. So.
But every other modality that I talked about all have equal importance. And I can't wait to share this deck with the organizers of this, so you can go through it and utilize the resources that make the most sense for you. Because not everything is for everyone. There's tens of millions of us. Not all of us are going to have the same desire in terms of how we consume either A, information, or B, participate.
Yeah, and if you can you post the link to your slide in the comment for the meetup page? And I think that'll be an easy way for everybody to go back and look through the resources and find the one that they want the best.
Absolutely.
And it looks like our last comment was from Richard, just saying thank you for the interesting roadmap.
Absolutely, and that roadmap is not static. It continues to evolve. The best place to stay abreast, again, openjdk.java.net, and you can see all of the innovation that's happening, number one. Number two, you can also click on specific releases to see what has already been targeted. For example, if you go to what's in Java 18, we already have some targeted features for Java 18 already. So, that's not to say that it's completely done. We haven't reached code freeze yet, so there's still an expectation that there will be, additional features that land in 18.
All right, and then one more question.
Oh yeah, yeah. So, that's a great question, Vishnu. So dev.java will eventually have a playground where you can, play around with code to actually see, what a specific, sample code may do in that playground. So it's one of those coming soon moments. And I'm looking forward to being able to announce that as something that's final. But the full intention is to have a active playground on dev.java.
All right. I think that's the end of the comments. But again, I guess if people have more questions, they can hit you up on Twitter.
For sure.
And you'll also be posting that to the meetup site. So there's multiple ways people can get in contact with you.
That's right. And I actually am looking forward to when I actually come back to Colorado and meet all of you in person, both in Boulder and in Denver. That will be that'll be a highlightable moment for me, at least.
I think everybody's looking forward to doing the meetings in person again. So hopefully in the new year, that's where we'll be back at.
There you go.
But if that's all, I think I'll end the broadcast now. And that's it for tonight. Thanks.
Thank you so much
for coming.
Thank you. Cheers.